How do I say this again? Aful, awful, a fool? Hey yo, this is Koi, and today I have the newest flagship from Aful, the Dawn X. This was loaned to me by an Epic channel sponsor, Jatis, so shout out and big thanks to Jatis for letting me try out the Dawn X. The Dawn X features a quad bridge setup with 1 dynamic, 8 balance armature, 4 EST, and 1 bone conduction, coming in at a staggering $1,300. Let's see if the Dawn X is worthy of the price and live up to its flagship status. Starting from the unboxing, this is the box that it comes in. It shares the same unboxing experience and accessories as the canter. You get a very nice big leather carrying case, a cable clip, 4 different sets of ear tips, and a cleaning brush. You also get the cable and the IM. Personally, I don't dislike this kind of simple unboxing and accessories, but I know some people would prefer something fancier at this price point. The design on the Dawn X, I think, is honestly quite boring and dull for a flagship. I think the red stabilized wood faceplate is fine, but I would love to see a different colored shell. Maybe match it with a red faceplate or make it transparent like the canter so we can appreciate the amazing acoustic architecture inside. The black shell just makes it look like any other IEM on the market and doesn't really stand out. Comfort wise, I have bad news. The Dawn X has an extremely large shell that is probably similar or almost the same size as the TIA Audio Monarchs that are known for its insanely huge shell. Here I have the YU9 Chue as a comparison, and not sure if you can see, the Dawn X is just very tall. And when I'm listening to the Dawn X, it kind of just sits uncomfortably in my ears, as I just can't fit this top part of the shell in my ears. So kind of like this, my ear would be like here, and then the Dawn X will fit like this, whereas if it's normally sized, it would fit like this. So sorry to everyone that has small ears, the Dawn X will not work for you. The cable I believe you can get in 3.5 or 4.4, but given that the Dawn X is a power-hungry IEM, I would pick the 4.4 version. The cable is surprisingly nice and soft, but has some memory to it. It is also branded Aful right here, and has a chin slider that stays in place. Before we get into the sound, I want to quickly talk about the ear tips. Like the Aful canter, the Dawn X is extremely sensitive to different tips. When I first got them, I tried on a bunch of other ear tips to make the Dawn X more comfortable, but each time it just changes the treble presentation and overall sound so much that I ended up going back to the stock tips, which sounded the best to me. While I am a big fan of tip rolling to get the best sound out of your IEMs, this is probably the only few times where I suggest using the stock tips. So if my impression doesn't match what you hear, maybe give the stock tips a go. Now the sound. The Dawn X has Aful's house sound with the mild V sound signature, The Dawn X leans on the slightly warmer side, giving it a more musical character, but still remains balanced overall. The bass is punchy and dynamic with excellent texture and rumble, everything that you would expect from a flagship dynamic driver bass. It has a satisfying amount of mid bass and a bit more going into the sub bass. The bass being on the warmer side is going to be very nice even for bass heads. For my taste and the music I usually listen to, I would prefer a touchless bass, but the Dawn X has never come across as bloated or overwhelming. The Dawn X has one of the most natural and lush mid-range I have ever heard in an IEM. It does male and female vocals exceptionally well, with male vocals marginally better due to the warmish tonality. With my preference, I normally gravitate toward a tuning that has more upper mid and harmonics for female vocals to shine. On the Dawn X, it doesn't really do that. Instead, the Dawn X keeps the female vocals on the neutral side, which really helps bring out the originality of their voice, making vocals sound so realistic and full of emotions. Before moving on to the treble, I want to quickly mention the bone conduction driver on the Dawn X actually lives in the mid-range. If we look at this chart that Aful provided, to me, I can't really tell if the bone conduction is doing anything here on the Dawn X. It's either implemented super well or that it's very subtle to the point that you won't notice it. The treble on the Dawn X is rich, smooth, and extended. The EST implementation is absolutely fantastic. Aful said the EST reaches all the way down to 5K, and you can really tell listening to it. It's tuned in a way that doesn't over-exaggerate the treble, so it never becomes overly bright or sparkly, which is a bit more conservative compared to some of Aful's other IEMs. Instead, the EST adds just the right amount of airiness and sparkly feel to the music, making treble sound effortless and extremely smooth. Technicality-wise, the Dawn X is one of the most resolving and detailed IEM I have ever tried, and is up there with the Hex, Valhalla, and Annihilator, some of which I got to try recently at Tanchjim. The EST are just able to grab every single little detail, while the balanced armature does an excellent job handling the instrument separation in the mid-range. Despite all the different drivers, it remains super cohesive, which contribute to the Dawn X having the most realistic imaging and layering that I have ever heard in an IEM. Listening to Hotel California live version on the Dawn X, you can hear every single clap in the audience and every nuance of the guitar. The pluck, the slide, vibration of the strings are all rendered extremely well, and each instrument is placed naturally in the mix, creating a sense of realism, like you hear right there in the performance. Lastly, the soundstage isn't Dawn X's strong suit. It has a soundstage that sounds more deep than wide, and easily loses to something like the Fat-Free Quantum. Oh, and yes, it can play competitive games. For recommendation, the Dawn X is for people that want a slightly warm, musical, and extremely detailed set that is very versatile for almost every genre of music that I have tried. I wouldn't recommend the Dawn X if you have small ears or if you want less bass and less of the warmish tonality that the Dawn X has. Furthermore, I don't recommend this to people that want more upper mid-range and a brighter treble presentation. Overall, the Dawn X is probably one of my favorite IEM that I have ever tried. And I'm saying this after going to Tanchjim last week, trying out many other sets that are way more expensive than the Dawn X. If I never knew the price and listened to the Dawn X after Tanchjim, I would have guessed it costs at least $2,000 or way more. Every time I put on the Dawn X, I'm just so drawn in by the beautiful tonality, realistic imaging, and details in the music that I just lose track of time going through all the songs in my library. I know $1,300 is not cheap by any means, and I personally think that diminishing return hits really hard past $500 to $600. Even so, the Dawn X to me is undoubtedly one of the best IEMs you can buy for the price today. If it weren't for the fit issue, I would be selling the chair and other IEMs I have for the Dawn X. Therefore, I'm going to give the Dawn X a 2-star recommendation, making the Dawn X the first IEM over $500 to get a 2-star from me. Congratulations to Aful for creating this masterpiece of an IEM. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.